Joining me now, Democratic Florida State Representative Carlos G.Smith. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. You've called the reasons offered by the governor and the Department of Education here for rejecting these books. You've called them a lie. Why do you think that?
Well, Kate, first and foremost, it's because they have not provided any evidence or any examples as far as why they have rejected these math books for allegedly containing critical race theory. I think it's important for your viewers to understand what has happened to Florida under the DeSantis administration. Yes, the Florida Department of Education has been politicized, but it's gone way past that. DeSantis has turned our classrooms into political battlefields, and he's put our kids in the crossfire in order to advance his presidential ambitions. The banning of math books is just the most recent example. Last year, he used his office to punish and defund school districts that defied him on masking policies. You just mentioned this past session with Don't Say Gay. DeSantis made false claims that schools were sexualizing students so he could attack the LGBTQ community. Now he's banning math textbooks, claiming they indoctrinate kids with CRT, but they won't give us any examples of where that is happening in the math books. They won't show us the reviewer score sheets. It's because it's not there.
So our correspondent Steve Contorno was just saying that he's received some of the names of these books. Some of the titles were released late today. Without knowing what's in them, how are you sure that they're ones that you want to have as part of the school curriculum?
Well, here's what we know about some of the folks that have been appointed to the Department of Education and the State Board of Education. These are Moms for Liberty type individuals who scream CRT anywhere they see diversity. So no, we don't trust that they're using the appropriate standards to evaluate this. And Kate, I think we have to take an even closer look at the books that have been banned and look at what types of books have been rejected. I took a look at it today, and what we saw was that of the 54 books that were rejected, 28 were rejected because they allegedly included one of those topics that were mentioned, social emotional learning, critical race theory. Social emotional learning is something that the department championed and supported just a couple of years ago. But you also see that they banned pre-calculus honors and statistics books with subject-specific standard scores that were higher than those that were approved. That means that the DeSantis administration is rejecting good books with good subject-specific content that yield better potential for student achievement because of politics.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there is one thing that the governor said is there's a review process. So there is that step, not saying that that's going to change any of the outcomes here. But there's also something else that we do know is that, and you've touched on this a bit, is that since taking office, Governor DeSantis, he has not shied away from cultural issues, divisive cultural issues. I mean, you've been outspoken against some of his other moves as well. But it does not seem to be hurting him. I mean, in a recent poll of Florida voters, he had a 58% job approval rating and only 37% disapproval, the highest job approval in that poll of all the elected officials that were listed in that poll. What does that tell you?
Well, what it tells me is that the governor is manipulating the public opinion on these issues because of the way that he's characterizing the issues in a misleading and false way. And I think it's important to understand the target audience here. The target audience is not his base in the state of Florida. He has a very good standing with GOP voters in Florida. We already know that. His target audience is GOP voters outside of the state of Florida because he wants to win a presidential primary, and that is what is motivating all of these culture wars that you're seeing. But we have to think who wins and who loses as a result of this, Kate. Who wins is Governor Ron DeSantis politically, possibly some of his big donors who themselves are school publishers who may benefit as a result of the rejection of these textbooks. But at the end of the day, our kids lose.
Well, we will see where this goes from here. Thanks for coming in.